Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Chicago, Illinois. Two beautiful cities. One is large, one is Milwaukee. Today, we're going to show you all the amazing things we ate and drank, and all the great sights we saw. So let's go. So our first stop takes us to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a beautiful city known for its cheeses, breweries, and the Harley-Davidson Museum. Hey now, watch out, watch out. You see that bird? It's crazy. Once we arrived, we knew we had to stop by the Milwaukee Public Market. This place actually won Best Public Market in the country in both 2024 and 2025. It had a wide variety of seafood, meats, cheeses, and Lacey's favorite, coffee. And of course, they had an amazing Bloody Mary that we had to try. And that Bloody Mary came from the West Allis Cheese and Sausage Shop. We decided to go with the Milwaukeean, $13. Milwaukeean came with a bratwurst slider, deep fried cheese curds, which won Best Cheese Curds in Milwaukee, bacon, beef stick, mozzarella whips, pickle, olive, and celery. And of course, the Little Buddy Lager. Once we left the market, we decided to take a stroll around town. This is a very walkable city, so we would highly recommend getting out and checking out the architecture and the artwork. After a short walk, we got a little thirsty, so we swung by the Blue Bat Kitchen and Tequileria and grabbed ourselves a couple of cocktails. Lacey went with a smoking herb with tequila, lemon, rosemary, and hibiscus syrup. I went with the prickly berry mule with tequila, berry liqueur, prickly pear syrup, and ginger beer. This place had amazing views as well. We also decided to grab a little appetizer. We went with the white cheddar fundito, which was white queso, ancho chili, and a bag of chips. And the chips were house made with their special bat dust, which was really good. After we left the Blue Bat, we decided to test out our luck at the Potawatomi Casino. And let me tell you, it didn't go so well. It went a little something like this.
Why don't you give me half the money you were gonna bet? Then we'll go out back, I'll kick you in the nuts, and we'll call it a day.
Okay, maybe it wasn't that bad, but we definitely donated a good bit of money. But it's okay, it was a nice casino, and after a couple tall gin and tonics and some cheap local beers, all of our losses didn't seem so bad. So we decided to head back towards the hotel just to kill a little bit of time before dinner. We took in a few more sights and then figured, hey, why not stop and get a drink before dinner? We made our way into Central Standard Craft House and Kitchen. And for those of you that know me, you know I love good whiskey. So I figured why not take the opportunity to stop by a local distillery and see what they had to offer. Lacey decided to go with the Wisconsin Old Fashioned for $11. It featured their red cabin bourbon, orange bitters, simple syrup, an orange and a cherry, and she had hers made sour. And I decided to go with their Spirit Flight for $18. It featured any three of their whiskeys, so I picked the Cabin Strength Bourbon, which is a barrel-proof single barrel pick at 115 proof, their Red Cabin Bourbon, which is double barrel aged and finished in Cabernet wine casks, and my third pick was their Washington Rye Whiskey, which was inspired by George Washington's rye whiskey recipe. After drinks, we made our way over to the Wicked Hop for dinner. We started out with some calamari fries for $13. There were breaded and fried calamari steak slices with a house-made marinara sauce. These were really good. For our entrees, Lacey went with the Cajun seared salmon BLT for $18. It was blackened salmon, thick-cut applewood smoked bacon, mixed greens, tomatoes, sriracha aioli on sourdough. And I went with the hot burger for $15. It was a half-pound steakhouse butcher's blend beef patty on a toasted roll with lettuce, tomato, onion, and I added jalapenos. And that wrapped up our first day in Milwaukee. The next morning we woke up and checked into our new hotel. It was in a great location, located right next to the Brewery District. The Brewery District is home to the original Pabst Blue Ribbon Brewery, which is unfortunately no longer a working brewery. They do have an amazing historical tour of the facility though, that we'll show later in the video. Here you can see us walking down towards the river. We're walking past the Pfizer Forum, where the Milwaukee Bucks play basketball. This arena was built back in 2018 and had a really cool design to it. We then stumbled across a cheese shop, and they had enough cheese, I'll tell you, to back you up for a week. We could have spent a lot of time in here, especially with the samples that they had laid out. But we didn't get too greedy because we had to make it over to our boat tour. Oops! But first, we had to swing into the Old German Beer Hall to grab ourselves a nice authentic German beer. Man, were these good. It definitely took us back to drinking these in Germany. Our next stop was our boat tour. We booked with Milwaukee Boat Line, and it was $29 a person. And I would say that's a great deal. This was a 90-minute live narration tour that taught us about the history of Milwaukee, while showing us truly how beautiful this city could be. The boat did have a bar on board. Of course, we had to check it out just to make sure it was okay. They had snacks, soft drinks, beer, and cocktails available. And we can confirm that the gin and tonics are good. You're welcome. They also had a really good selection of local beers. Which, as you can see, made Lacey really happy. Hey everybody, we're going on a boat cruise. Yep, just trying to get the angle just right. It didn't work. But anyway, we headed out along the Milwaukee River towards Lake Michigan. And as you can see, there's multiple drawbridges we had to cross under. And these bridges were scheduled to open up at a certain time based on the boat tour schedule. The company or companies that run tours on the river would notify the bridge operator, and the man in the tower would then be on the lookout for the tour boat and raise these bridges as the boats approached. There was a lot more history that our amazing tour guide filled us in on, but unfortunately, I can't remember a lot of it. So for now, I'll just shut up and let you see some of this beautiful city from our view on the river. And and I'll check back in once we get out towards Lake Michigan. So we are now approaching the open water of Lake Michigan, which you can see is divided by a breaker wall to help keep the waters calm on the river side of the wall. On the left, you can see the Milwaukee Breakwater Lighthouse, which was recently acquired from the U.S. Coast Guard by a private company who is looking to open up the lighthouse to the public for the first time ever. The views looking back on the city from Lake Michigan is why we highly recommend taking a boat tour. It doesn't necessarily have to be this one, but just make sure you can get out there to the open water to get some amazing video and pictures. The cool looking white building you can see here is the Milwaukee Art Museum. We didn't get a chance to check it out, mostly because it's not really our thing, but if you are into art, we heard it's worth checking out. Tickets will run you about $27 per their website, and they do offer discounts to students, seniors, and military. And if you have kids, 12 and under get in for free. Here you can see Veterans Park. It features a Veterans Memorial, there's fishing, and a paved walking trail, as well as restrooms. There were a lot of people out here, whether they were jogging or just having a picnic. It was a great location to do either one. Also happening while we were there was Summerfest. Summerfest is a 9-day musical festival in downtown Milwaukee, known as the world's largest music festival. It's been held annually since 1968, and it takes place at Henry Meyer Festival Park. The festival featured artists like Def Leppard, The Killers, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Mike Jones, who? And Chicago. And that pretty much wrapped up our boat tour, so we eased our way back to the dock. Once we made it back to the dock, we were feeling a little hungry. So we dropped by the Milwaukee Brat House. This place had a really cool dive bar feel. They had a lot of great local beers. And the crazy thing is, when you order one draft beer, they give you two. I didn't ask questions. And this right here, I kid you not, is the best bratwurst I've had in my life. I got the hot and spicy. It came with the hot Hungarian brat, hot jardinera, pepper jack cheese, and house buffalo sauce. And Lacey went with the jumbo Bavarian pretzel for $18. Here we have sharp cheddar cheese sauce, a house-made beer cheese soup, and cinnamon cream cheese. And even though I'm not a big fan of pretzels, this one was really good, and Lacey loved it as well. So after filling up on some delicious food, we headed up the river to make a quick stop at a type of place that Lacey and I enjoy letting our competitive sides out. We stopped by Up Down Milwaukee. This is an arcade and bar that features classic video games, pinball, and skee-ball, just to name a few. And not to mention their extensive selection of craft beers, cocktails, and house-made pizza. This place had a really cool retro vibe with a lot of classic movies and sports figures on the wall. So after smoking Lacey in pretty much every game we played, we made our way over to Lakefront Brewery. This is definitely one of the more popular breweries in Milwaukee. They offer daily tours that range from $13 to $16. That includes 4 8-ounce pours and a souvenir pint glass. We didn't get a chance to take a tour since we were tight on time, but the reviews are great and we'll be sure to take a tour the next time we are in Milwaukee. They offered a wide range of beers, as well as non-alcoholic drinks, and they also serve food as well. Lacey ended up getting the Golden Maple Root Beer, and I ended up getting the Irish Export Stout. Both of these were really good, and we would highly recommend. Now, even though Lakefront is in the name, this brewery actually isn't on the lake, it's on the Milwaukee River. It's still very nice with patio seating out back, and they had a food truck downstairs. It was getting close to dinner time, so we started making our way over towards the restaurant. And once again, we couldn't help but stop and take in a lot of these beautiful sights. So we finally made it over to the restaurant with empty stomachs and high expectations. And let me tell you, this place sucked.
Are you serious? This place sucks.
I mean, I really do hate to be so negative. I guess if I could find a couple good things to say, it was in a good spot and it was really nice inside. But other than that, food wasn't very good. They messed up our order, and the service was absolutely terrible. I'm sure not everybody's experience will be like this, but we just didn't have the best time. And that wrapped up day 2 for us. So we finished up these drinks and headed back to the hotel to get ready for a day of breweries tomorrow. In case you haven't figured it out yet, our first stop was Miller Brewing Company. It was located only about 10 minutes from downtown Milwaukee. We opted for the 10:30 a.m. guided tour that was led by our tour guide, Corey, who was absolutely amazing. He brought tons of humor to the tour while still being able to teach us about the history of this nearly 170-year-old brewery. We had some time to kill before the tour, so we took a stroll through the gift shop and tried not to buy everything we saw. They also had this really cool tour bus that used to tour the country and give people a little taste of what Miller had to offer. So a little information about this tour we took. It was $20 per person. It was about 80 minutes long, which it didn't seem like it lasted that long. But the tour did include 3 half pours of beer and a gift at the end. And our gift ended up being a bottle opener. So we walked through the campus of Miller, and we took a break here right outside the brew house so Corey could teach us how the beer is made. Next, we headed over to the historic Miller Caves. These caves were actually used as the first refrigeration system for the barrels. They would bring in ice blocks to pack with the barrels, and because it was so cool down here, they held for a long time, creating the perfect refrigerator. Now this cave is used obviously for the tour, but also used as a wedding venue or to book private dinners. And located right next to the caves was the Miller Inn. This is where we had our last sample and learned about the history of this once popular hotel. It's so popular that even Luke Combs spent quite a while here drinking and hanging out with the head brewmaster. We finished up the tour, walking through some of the production area and seeing where all the beer is stored before it heads out. All in all, we would highly recommend going on this tour. And we wrapped it up by drinking one more complimentary ice cold beer. And next, it was lunchtime. We stopped by Balistrary's on 68th Street. When I was doing research about Milwaukee, I learned that there's a Milwaukee style pizza and it sounded delicious, so we just had to try it. This Milwaukee style pizza can also be known as tavern style. It's thin, has a crispy crust, and sliced in a grid pattern. We decided to go with the plain pepperoni and also got some cheese bread. I will say, because this pizza is so thin, you can eat a lot of it, or what seems like a lot, so don't feel bad if you do. After lunch, we made our way back to the Brewery District. We had a Pabst history tour planned at 3 o'clock. It was a walk-in tour that cost about $28 per person, and all the money went towards keeping the Pabst Blue Ribbon history alive. This tour consisted of walking the grounds where the original Pabst Blue Ribbon brewery used to operate. A lot of the buildings in this area have been converted into apartments, stores, and restaurants, but this tour was still able to show how things ran back in the day and how hard the city of Milwaukee fought to keep this brewery alive. The tour started in a room that they now use for events, just to help bring in some extra money. And of course, they started us out with some ice cold PBRs. Just to see, the portions of this facility that are still in their original condition are absolutely worth the price of admission. These original wood floors we're walking on here were carbon dated, and it was discovered that the trees that this wood was derived from dates back to the year 1100. Our next stop on the tour was the Brewhouse Inn and Suites. Tracing its roots back to 1848, it evolved from a historic brewery into a boutique hotel and gained recognition on the National Register of Historical Places in 2001. And that wrapped up what could potentially be my favorite brewery tour I've ever experienced. And after learning all that amazing history and drinking some good beer, we just couldn't help but think,
don't you like beer? I mean, I love beer.
After leaving the brewery, full of knowledge, but not necessarily full of beer, we decided to go grab another one from one of our now favorite places. You guessed it, the Old German Beer Hall. This time, we decided to get the liters, and these bad boys are huge.
That's what she said.
After we left there, we walked around the city, just killing a little bit more time before dinner. For dinner, we decided to try a historical restaurant that dates back all the way to 1902. This restaurant's called Mater's, and it's a Milwaukee staple. It offers authentic German food, as well as an authentic German experience. From the servers' outfits to the decor throughout the restaurant, you can't help but feel like you've stepped into a Bavarian town. Hold up, hold up. That music's way too sad. Let me do something. Okay. We'll start over. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Crap! Too far. Hold on. Okay. There we go. Okay. So for dinner, we decided to stick with some authentic German food. Now, if you're not into German food, they do have other options. Some American fare, typical salad, steak, stuff like that. They also had some really good cocktail options, as well as bourbon and scotch. Here you can see the tour of Germany, which is what Lacey and I got. While we waited for the food to come out, I decided to treat myself to a Balvenie 14-year scotch, and Lacey got the Bremen smoked cocktail. There was plenty to look at in the dining room. As I stated earlier, it felt like we were in a Bavarian town. See? So our appetizer came out, and we decided to go with the colossal shrimp and potato cakes for $17. These were shrimp wrapped in bacon, served with potato pancakes, and a warm beer cheese dipping sauce. And for the entree, the tour of Germany. This was $90, but well worth it if you want to try some authentic German food. It consisted of Sauerbraten, which is a marinated beef pot roast, a German smoked pork, a pork shank in the middle, Wiener Schnitzel, potato salad, Spätzle, which is a type of egg noodle originating from southwest Germany, red cabbage, and sauerkraut. And I think Lacey can agree, the best thing on the plate was the pork shank. This was fall off the bone tender and had layers of flavor as well. This was a large dish. It does say it serves two, but we probably could have used some help. I think we did pretty good though. We made a dent in it. I think she was hurting. I think she's telling me how she was hurting. Maybe not. After dinner, we hung out to look at all the authentic German items. Our server Justin, who was absolutely amazing, recommended that we walk around and take in the history of this historical restaurant. So that wrapped up our time in Milwaukee. So we headed back to the hotel to get a good night's sleep so we could head down to Chicago to see our amazing friends, Anne-Marie and Noelle, and baby Emma.
Won't you tell me? Won't you tell me? Save me. Won't you tell me? Won't you tell me? Save me. Won't you tell me?
The next day, we took the Amtrak train down to Chicago. This was only about an hour and a half ride and was very affordable as well. Right after we arrived to Chicago Union Station, we grabbed some lunch at Guinness Open Gate Brewery. This is one of 3 locations that exist in the world, so you know we had to check it out. When you first enter the building, you walk straight through the gift shop, so you can look at all the things you know you're going to purchase on your way out.
Won't you tell me? Save me.
The layout and decor of this location is well done. And even though it's not as large as the Baltimore or Dublin locations, this brewery offers a great atmosphere and is a must check out when you're in Chicago. And you could have probably guessed, but you know our first drink had to be Guinness. And our next round were a couple of beers that were brewed at the Chicago location. And for food, we split the Bavarian pretzel that was $18, and it came with a whipped maple cream cheese, bacon cherry jam, as well as a peach jam. For our entrees, I went with their 1910 burger, that was $19. And Lacey opted for the crab benedict, that was $25. It was Maryland crab, a poached egg, English muffin with an avocado mousse, and a habanero basil hollandaise sauce. So we wrapped up lunch, and next we'll show you what we had for dinner. you know we had to go to Lou Minalti's Pizzeria. A true Chicago classic, we went with the Chicago Classic Deep Dish for $34. It offered loose lean sausage, extra mozzarella cheese, vine-ripened tomato sauce on a buttered crust. And that wrapped up day one in Chicago, so let's show you what we had for breakfast the next day. We stopped by Batter and Berries, where Lacey got the French Toast Superflight for $18.25. It came with a variety of flavors: strawberry, blueberry, lemon, caramel, and their special donut. And I went with their special of the day, which was the salmon croquette for $30.25. It came with a poached egg, hash browns, and I forgot the sauce, but it was really good. So a few hours later, we made our way over to lunch, and we had to stop at the one place that we stop at every time we're in Chicago, and that's Portillo's. Even though we know there's other Italian beef sandwiches in Chicago, we can't help but stop by this place. So Lacey and I split the big Italian beef sandwich. That was $10.59. We added spicy giardiniera, and of course we had it dipped. We also went with the Chicago style hot dog for $4.29. And as always, these didn't disappoint. So let's head to dinner. We spent some time exploring Chicago's West Loop District. This is a very nice neighborhood that is booming with growth, that has plenty of shops, high quality restaurants, as well as housing. And for dinner, we stopped by the Time Out Food Hall. This was a really cool place that had a lot of amazing food and drinks. We decided to try a couple of different places, the first one being Urbanly, where we got the Furious Chili Chicken Fried Rice for $17. It had scrambled eggs, Korean fried chicken, chili sauce, and of course fried rice. And our next dish was from, I can't really pronounce the name, but I'll call it QXY. It was a great dumpling place that we've had before in Chinatown, so we decided to go with the pork and cabbage dumplings. These were amazing. And that wrapped up our last full day in Chicago. So we headed back to the house, played some quicks, which both Anne-Marie and Noelle whooped us in.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Beginner's luck, I guess. And we headed to bed to get ready to fly out the next day. And that wraps up our time in Milwaukee and Chicago. We would like to thank Anne-Marie and Noelle again for hosting us, and we're so glad we got to finally meet baby Emma. We hope you enjoyed our video, and until next time, God bless.